Uh, Hello? Oh, Canada. Oh, well, there's Canada. And welcome. The unscripted early morning Sunday show. Cheers. Okay. You ready to see some records? But first, the opening. That's in a town called Port Huron. Port Huron's on what we call the Straits of St. Clair. St. Clair River. It connects the Great Lake of Lake Huron to the Great Lakes of Lake Erie. And it, from Port Huron, that's where it opens up into Lake Huron. It takes you all the way down. You go through Detroit and then into Lake Erie. And there's been a hotel for 2 years I've been trying to stay at, but it's always too expensive for what my company's going to pay. Oh, it was over several $100, but it's right on the strait, so you can see all these big freighters go by. That's all I want. I just want to go there and watch the big freighters go by. So the other day I was looking, I thought, okay, let's check prices. So I'm heading that way for work. And I usually don't stay in Port Huron because otherwise really don't want to stay in Port Huron. And there it was, $125. I go, oh my God, finally. So I was able to get there. I'm like a lifetime Hilton Diamond member, so they gave me a room right along, so I'm viewing the river, which is good because otherwise you're viewing a bunch of crappy houses. It was fantastic. I enjoyed myself. It was a beautiful evening. Went out, for a stroll, so long as my back could handle it, which isn't very long, but still a good time. So there you go. Gotta see the big freighters roll. So exciting. Yeah, it's those little things in life that just kind of make me happy. I did had a meetup this week. Michael Christensen, the guitarist, and who's put out a number of CDs and albums. I was able to finally meet him in Detroit, and you see his brand new album up there, which I'll be reviewing next week, which was extremely good. So we did some record shopping together, and we went out and had dinner. We'll talk a little bit about that next week. So, Michael, had just a great time. I look forward to doing that again. So, yeah, there we go. The week in a nutshell. And it's beautiful weather out, so okay. Someone has to mow the yard for the very first time. Sucks. So, but I do have some records I believe I have to show. I can't figure out where the co-host is. I mean, I'm up extra early. It's just sleeps now. I've been having a back. I thought I kind of got this settled, by using pills differently, but I don't know. So something's going wrong, but so it's like by 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm just laying in bed going, well, might as well, what the heck, might as well get up with Bobby Gas. Bobby's up, I'll get up too. So here we are. Yeah. Okay. Found some more records for day stuff too that I wasn't going to buy. So that happens. But we're going to begin with a new album. It's, kind of new. It was made in 2018, so I can't say it's really new. It came off of Fuzz Club. And let me just see, make sure that there isn't a download card in here. There is. Okay. So the name of this album is called The Oscillation. Well, actually, the name of the group is called The Oscillation. There's something. Who would have thought of that? What should we call ourselves? The Oscillation. Wow. But it kind of fits the music. They were formed in London in 2006. It's psychedelic space rock. Kind of. Yep. That's what you have there. You have the inner sleeve, which is actually quite nice, isn't that? I mean, it matches the outer sleeve. We got a cube and really kind of pretty vinyl. And here, this comes from Fuzz Club. So whoever's early, you want something, download that thing, you can burn it onto your CD. That's what I think Dale, Gateful 45 says, you don't burn those on CDs? I don't have the equipment anymore to do that. So, and I just haven't ever, since the flood, invested into it. But name of the album, this came out in 2018. This is called Wasted Space, and that's their 6th album. So they've been around, for 12 years, 6th album, so every 2 years. And it is a, I don't know, it's more, I guess, I don't know anything about this group, but what I heard, it is a more electronic infected album, just much more of that in there. And there's a darkness to it. It really, to me, when I was listening to it, it's like you have, a combination of muscular grooves with an instrumental wall of sound. That's kind of what I got out of it. There is, some of it, there's a lot of it, there's this deep, funky bass line going on. And as I'm listening to this bass line, I just kept thinking Fall, Gang of Four, early Fall, early Gang of Four, how funky their bass lines really were. And that's what I was getting. And yeah, it sounded really good. It's a concept album, and the concept was it was a meditation. How they say it on the nature of existence in the face of insurmountable odds. Wow, heavy. Now, it's mostly instrumental, so I don't know how that works or how you feel that or see that, but as they were making it, that was the art they were producing. So I'm just going to take their word for it and go, okay, I'm glad I was part of it. Yeah. And, so it's kind of this marriage. It's like, it's filled with these funky, joyous beats almost, I guess you could say. And then this dark, really dark electronic bleak tones happening. So it is a mix, and you might hear some of that within the sample. Again, mostly instrumental. There are some vocals, but they're really buried, kind of like a shoegaze. They just push them way down, so they're there, but you really don't know what's going on. So interesting album. I'm going to go out and join the Oscillation fan club? I am not. It's a good album, but it's not a great album. It's not the one that I'm going to grab all the time, but pretty cool artwork. So the Oscillation, and the name of it. Did I even say the name of this thing? I don't think I did. Yeah, I did. Wasted Space. Wasted Space is the name of it, from 2018. Wasted Space. To soundtrack. Blondie. Blonde, not blonde, blonde. Blondie was a cartoon. For those of you that are young, it was a cartoon that was in the newspaper for many, many years, Blondie and Dagwood. And yeah, it was okay. I guess I read it, it was like, I didn't laugh that much, but, at that time of age, when you're in, elementary and teenager, the newspaper comes, all you do is read the comics. I like The Far Side. So this is a Netflix series, and I don't have Netflix, so I never saw the series. There's a ring light right there. But Mike, the PC-13 vinyl policeman, he liked it. I believe that was you, Mike, that recommended this. And I believe you said, if your name is Mike, you're going to like this album. Any Mike will like this album. So that was 80% of the VC. That's why, again, I thought, well, I'm a Mike wannabe, so I'm going to get this. And It was done by Nick Cave and Warren Ellis of the Bad Seeds. So they did. I guess they've done a number of soundtracks together. It's something that they do. It's largely synthesizer-based music. And the pieces, they kind of ebb and flow. You know, they quiet and also they swell. It's like the ocean, you know, in it comes and out it goes. And that's what you get off of this stuff. The subtext of it is dark. I guess it was a very dark show, really looking at Marilyn Monroe, but the sad side of the life. And that's what was reflected in the movie and is done within the songs. It is peaceful. Well, not peaceful. I shouldn't say that. I would call it painfully beautiful and very haunting. That's the feeling you get from the music in here. There is a little, what we have here. There we go. Nice photo. Boy, that glare is just terrible, isn't it, today? So, yeah, I guess, you know, it's really the trash, and, you know, the cover itself, when you look at Marilyn Monroe, this explains, I guess, the Netflix series. So, I don't know anything about the series, but I do know, you know, just what I heard about the music. So, a neat soundtrack, something to put on. It's not something that's going to make you, you know, feel good, because it's dark, it's haunting, very synthesizer-based. Blondie. I got two for next. The Cult. Two great albums from The Cult. This is an original electric, and here we have the reissue of Love. So The Cult was formed in Bradford in West Yorkshire in 1983, broke up in 95, started again, stopped again, started again, stopped again. Finally in 06, they said, we'll just be a band. But really all it is, you know, from the originals, Ian Astbury on vocals and Billy Duffy on guitars, which that's a cool name, Billy Duffy. I like that. So they're, you know, the two original members. Love was their second album. It came out in 1985. Electric was the third album from 1987. I would kind of say this group was like a heavy metal revivalist. You know, not the hair metal type, but more the heavy 70s heavy metal is what you get. So, you know, really what they brought back to me when I listened to it, kind of the 3-chord crunch of AC/DC mixed with some goth rock. That, to me, describes The Cult. And many of you obviously have listened to The Cult. So Love, though, this is like psychedelic hard rock marrying new wave goth. Best kind of way to describe it. There is for those of you that collect hype stickers, some people, they actually, I read, they collect the hype stickers and they throw away the record albums. You know, they just buy things for the hype sticker. I'm not one of those. I actually keep the record album. But for those of you that do, you know, that's why I show them. And that's okay. If you ever want to buy them from me, feel free to let me know. I'm sure everything has a price. But this one, this has great guitars. The drumming is really crisp. And the vocals, just, Ian Astbury has swagger. It has the big hit, Sanctuary, which in England did really, really well. In the US, it didn't do as well. Yeah, I remember when both these albums came out, and Rolling Stone magazine really did a bunch of like posers, you know, heavy rock, Led Zeppelin posers or whatever. They kind of panned them. And I didn't buy them because, well, Rolling Stone doesn't really like them, so they can't be very good. I've since learned, you know, that Rolling Stone reviews were very, very, very opinionated. But when you're younger, it's like, wow, okay, well, these guys, that's Rolling Stones, so what the hey. So the album didn't do as well in the U.S. Now, it's known, very well known. But really, this is great fun stuff on here. I just picked up this reissue. I've looked for an original, haven't seen it. But this one, I was able to find a nice, beautiful original. Beautiful gatefold there of Electric from 1987. When they were making this, they were having a lot of issues within the recording studio. And the problem was, after their last one, which did well, especially in the UK and around the world, just not as good within the US. They felt the pressure. There was the tension. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? So they're struggling. In comes a very young producer to help them out. Just a young guy, kind of college kid, by the name of Rick Rubens. And he calmed them down, which only Rick Rubens can do. That guy's like the Zen, isn't he? The Zen of record producing. And he began to try to bring out really their hard rock. And that's what he did. Duffy's guitars on this, I think you compare to Angus Young of AC/DC. They're front, they're in center, and he is going. I mean, he just rocks this thing. The guitars are really good. This is like a fist-pumping yelp of energy. That's what I think about Electric. Play this at maximum volume. Both of them can be played at maximum volume, but this thing, wowzers. The only issue I have is they do Born to Be Wild. And it's not good. I mean, why did you take this classic song? Ian Astbury's voice just wasn't right for it. And the way they did it just isn't right for it to me. And I don't like their version of Born to Be Wild. And I thought that just kind of, it ruined a really, really, really good album. I guess if you had one of those threads, one song that screws up an album, Born to Be Wild on this. A song I like. I just don't like the way they did it. But this whole album really rocks. So, the Call. 2 classic calls. Now, Sonic Temple is another one. I used to have that one on CD. And eventually I will find that. And I've seen that one once in a while used. But, yeah, really, really nice. This is such a gorgeous, beautiful, pristine copy. Yeah, baby. Like it. Moving into, what do we got next here? I just picked this one up recently. Here comes Shuggy Otis. And I say picked it up recently because some of these, I call it Electric. That's been sitting in my thing. I think I bought that last year, just haven't shown it. But then I picked up Love, and I go, you know what? There's a twofer. Let's get that thing showing. So these things happen with me. Next week's lineup. Some been around. That Buddy Guy, oof, that's been around a long time. We're trying. Okay, so Shuggy Otis. This is his first album. He, I think his name was born Johnny Alexander Viltius Jr. Beats me. I don't know what color that is. It's kind of a, I don't know what, it's an ugly color. It's orangey, but not quite orangey. So, he goes by the name Shuggy. His mom called him Shuggy because it's short for sugar. Sugar, Shuggy. I don't know if it's really short. Does it seem shorter to you to say instead of sugar, Shuggy? I don't think it does, but supposedly that's what it was. Short or sugar. And his father was a band leader. His name was Johnny Otis. And by age 2, Shuggy was playing guitar. By age 11, he was playing in his father's band. Now, the thing is, they were going to places and he was too young, so he would put on sunglasses and they gave him a fake mustache. So we got an 11-year-old in sunglasses and a fake mustache going into play. That's pretty awesome, you know? So that's how he got his start. Here Comes Shuggy Otis came out in 1970. So again, this is his first album. This is, there's some songs on here that blew me away, which is why I bought it. And there's some songs that you go, what are they thinking of? I mean, it starts off with Oxford Gray. And there's some guitar playing, but there's these lush strings happening. And they got a brass section. I mean, we're talking French horns, some symphonic stuff. It's like we're trying to be progressive. It just makes no sense. I mean, I'm sure there was a reason for it, but I can't figure it out. And I just go, God, really? Then they go into Jenny Lee. Jenny Lee's better. A little more guitar work happening. Your guitar work is not being put second to some of this other stuff. But still you have these strings happening. So right now I'm thinking, I really don't need that album. Then comes Booty Cooler. And suddenly you're going, wow, his guitar playing. We took out the crap. We took out the stuff that has not to do with his guitar playing, his bluesy style. And it is an absolute killer track that I loved. We follow it up with Knowing That Thing You Want Him, which was like a 60s throwback. Again, it's like a 60s pop tune with strings. You know, maybe something a girl group would do. He's like, what? But then they come up with funky thigh three, what a stupid word, whatever the word is. And it was amazing. So this is an album of highs and lows as far as I'm concerned. You know, it really, you know, when you're trying to limit your collection, you can't get everything. This was a kind of a, you know, it was one of those, do I really have to have it? Well, it's a nice reissue on a Music on Vinyl. It was at a really good price, extremely good price. So I bought it just because, you know, okay. You know, I loved, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, I had a chance of getting that Shuggy Otis' second album. It was $100. Right now, that would have been a great deal. But it's one of those things at the time, do I really want to do that? You know, that's before vinyl got stupid. But so I got this one. Yeah, good and bad. But when it's good, it's incredibly good. Moving on, I have the Beastie Boys. This is a Vinyl Me Please from last year. Yes, Vinyl Me Please is really stacked up. I just don't show them that often, don't know why. And I have nothing against Vinyl Me Please, I just don't. It comes with a poster. Nice. And the vinyl is whatever ugly color that kind of is. You guys feel free to tell me what it's clay. I don't know. I just, sometimes you wonder about this. Of course, Vinyl Me Please always has a nice little booklet. Explains the album, explains what's going on. Beastie Boys, this is Beastie Boys' third album. They had done Paul's Boutique, their second album, and it flopped. Now, you know, Paul's Boutique is considered an absolute classic of all time, but at the time, it flopped. I mean, I remember I got listen to it and go, what? This is not Licensed to Ill. This is, whereas, Fight for Your Right to Party. That's the problem. They went more rap. They do a lot more samples. and the thing tanked. So when they were doing this, really, they felt this is done in 1992, check your head, and they go, you know, doesn't matter, the last one sucked, let's just do whatever. And so, you know, after that disappointment, they just felt we can do anything they want, and they brought back in their live instruments. So what you have here is they kind of dip in, when you think of the samples, into stacks and more of the New Orleans funk. There's some hard hip hop, but there's blistering punk. And you get a lot of hardcore punk in here, which is how they had started. That was the roots. And so you feel this. So it's really a return to their punk rock, and there's less sampling being done on this album. And you feel it in there, and it sounds quite good. It's really, it's just, yeah, it really is a lot harder rock. You have, in fact, you know, some of these songs, like I think it was Gratitude, is just a hard charging punk song, really neat. But then you have something like Lighten Up. God, was that the one? Really cool bass. I mean, some of this is super funky bass happening in here. So yeah, you know, check your head. Of course, the next one, Ill Communication, was that the one next? That really was neat. That was my favorite, but yeah. Have here Kenny Burrell, Midnight Blue, a little jazz music for you. Kenny Burrell from Detroit, and you know, one of the music on vinyl. I believe this year's on clearance or at a much lower price on Amazon, if you want to find it, you know, like 30-40% savings at the time. You know, he's a guitar player. At age 12, he started playing guitar. By the time he was 20, he was playing Dizzy Gillespie. I had read that in his lifetime, and I don't know, I didn't count them, but he led like 80 albums for 8 different labels. Could be, I don't know. I just didn't count. But he was very prolific. His career was. On this one here, this came out in 1967, Midnight Blue. You know, he has Stanley Turrentine on here, and his Turrentine sax, it's just beautiful. It's so soulful. You can feel that in there, bluesy and soulful. You know, it begins with Chitlin's Concarn that has just an incredible conga. Ray Barreto, his conga, I loved it. It sounded so good within that. You have Midnight Blue, of course, that song there, really neat song. It's just great guitar work. Burrell had just a smooth kind of guitar, and he really lets loose on that one, and very, very well done. There is Mule, which is really low key. It's kind of a softer tune going on, a little more soulful. Yeah, good album. Very, very nice album. Kenny Burrell, very relaxing album. You know, not hard bop, not soft. It's kind of soul and blues is what you get the feeling on here. So from Blue Note, yep, their classic vinyl series, really good. And that's what we got for this week. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I hope you did too. And I did this without a script because, you know, the darn writer's strike. And I hope they get back, because otherwise I'm going to start doing reruns like everyone else. So, yeah, just prepared to see stuff when I looked a hell of a lot younger 4 or 5 years ago. So, everyone have a good week. Thanks for dropping by. See ya.